When we're first properly introduced to Ace during Alabasta, we see that he and Luffy have very similar personalities. They're both very charismatic, they're both very, eccentric, they're both very goofy. But the thing that separates Ace from Luffy is his sense of maturity. When he first meets up with Luffy and his crew, he's apologizing to them on Luffy's behalf because he understands the kind of person that Luffy is. He knows what kind of things that he gets up to. And it's the little things that he does, like thanking people for a meal, being able to wash his own plates, that realize that, oh, this guy is Luffy's older brother. And at a very young age, we see him work towards that level of maturity. During the Sabo flashbacks, there's a moment where Ace takes out a bunch of people in a bar, and then later Dadan questions him about it, and as a kid, he can't properly articulate what he was feeling in that moment. He says that, whenever I get angry, I feel like I can't run away, I have to stay and fight or something bad's gonna happen. And at first, as a kid, he just chalks it up to that because he can't properly articulate what he's actually feeling inside. It's not until he meets a boy named Sabo where, for the first time, there's someone who's looking at him as an equal. No one is looking down on him at this moment. He resonates with Sabo, and Sabo resonates with him because of their shared interests, their shared goals, their shared wants, and because of their very similar circumstances, they grow an attachment towards each other. This is the first time Ace has a genuine sense of camaraderie with someone else. But then Luffy comes along, and at first, Ace just brushes him off as just some kid that he doesn't need to pay attention to. But then, he realizes that for the first time in his life, someone is looking up at him. Someone is looking at Ace for validation, for affirmation, for protection. And for the first time, someone is looking at Ace with a true sense of love. And not just any type of love, unconditional love. Although yes, he does have a sense of camaraderie with Sabo, what Luffy and Ace share is that Ace takes on more of a protector role for Luffy. He still understands the kind of person that Luffy is, and he'll let him go do whatever he needs to, whatever he wants, but he's always going to be there to make sure that he is safe no matter what. They have a 3-year gap between their own adventures, and it's very clear that during those 3 years, the moment Luffy got on his adventure, Ace actually started keeping up with the newspaper, because the only times we ever actually see him interested in the paper is when Luffy's in it. He's shoving it in everyone's faces. He's just like, that's my brother right there, because he's the only one that he truly cares about to actually pick up the paper and read. So when he first sets off on his adventure, despite the fact that Ace is going after Blackbeard, he wants to go see his brother. He wants to congratulate him for everything that he's been through so far. But that sense of protection never goes away, because when Blackbeard tells Ace that, oh, he plans to go after Straw Hat, we see that sense of maturity immediately switch to that sense of anger and that sense of protection, because anger is something that Ace has always struggled with. It's not something that he was ever truly able to let go until the very end. So when he finally goes up against Blackbeard in an all-out brawl, he's later captured, and because of everything that's happened up to his life at this moment, he doesn't feel worthy enough to be saved. As a child, several times in his life, until he met his brothers, there were always people around him who constantly belittled the idea of the Pirate King, belittled the idea of, oh, what if the Pirate King had a child? And him being the actual son of Roger, this weighed heavily on him. It made him question whether it was a good thing that he was born or not. So when he asks Garp about this, Garp responds, you're just going to have to keep living to find out. During Marineford, when the entirety of the Whitebeard crew pulls up to try and save Ace, and then later when the Impel Down prisoners led by Luffy and Ivankov show up to try and save him, he's taken aback by everything. He doesn't want people dying for his sake because he doesn't feel like he's worthy of that level of kindness, despite the fact that this is something that he would absolutely do for everyone else. When he was a kid, during his fight against Blue Jam with Dadan asks him again, why don't you just run away? And he's able to articulate this better, but this time he says, Luffy is behind me and I have to make sure that he gets away. I have to be the one to protect him. He finally understands the reason why he stands. It's not just that, oh, something bad will happen. It's that he's afraid that if he doesn't take a stand, people that he cares about will actually get hurt. Before, he didn't have anyone to care about because he saw that there was no one who cared about him. But now it's different. So during his final moments in Marineford, when he's running away with Luffy from Akainu, and Akainu is able to tap into that sense of anger, because despite what people say, Akainu is very good at breaking down his opponents psychologically. He does this earlier in the arc, and he's able to play on Ace's sense of anger. So standing in a moment of defiance, Ace turns to him and is about to go attack. He would have probably been able to fight him off for a bit, but Akainu never had him as his target to begin with. He was targeting Luffy. And it's not until that moment where he turns back and realizes he didn't stop to protect Luffy, he turned his back on his brother. The moment he has this realization, he immediately locks back in and goes into protecting Luffy because nothing else matters to him at this moment. He realized that giving into his sense of anger is the thing that put his brother in danger to begin with, so he jumps in front of Luffy in order to save his life. And then we get his final moments where he's thanking everyone for the love that they showed him throughout the years. When Ace first joined the Whitebeard Pirates, he still had that level of, no one truly loves me for who I am, because if they knew where I came from, everyone else would react the same. The only people who didn't react that way were his brothers. And when he confronts Whitebeard with that, Whitebeard doesn't care either. And it's the first time he realizes that he can truly have a home and a family with others who care about him just as much as he can truly care about them. And it's in his final moments when he tells everyone, "Thank you for loving me," and dies with a smile on his face. He has truly accepted the love that he has received. He's always been able to reciprocate it. He's always been able to show thanks to everyone, and he's always gone above and beyond for those around him. But this is the first time that he could actually truly see everything around him finally coming. Everyone here, the entire war, is not just because that, oh, Ace is the son of the Pirate King. Ace is a son of Whitebeard. He is the brother of the Whitebeard Pirates. He's Luffy's brother, and they're all here to protect their brother. Ace did not die in a moment of stupidity. His death was the culmination of the emotional turmoil that he has faced throughout his entire life, and finally being able to accept and being able to say out loud that he was truly loved unconditionally. In spite of all the things that he had gone through in his life, in spite of the fact that he was deemed with the crime of being born, not being given a choice before he was even born, he found people, he found a family who would truly accept him for who he was, no matter what. It didn't matter where he came from, it didn't matter who his father was. People loved Ace for who he was, and he loved them for who they were. And he and everyone else there knew if the roles were reversed, he would be in their position fighting just as hard to get them back.